Hey guys, welcome back to another acrylic painting lesson. I'm Mike Ferris, and to get started I'm going to be on this 8x10 pre-stretched canvas, and I have my image already laid out based on the traceable image you can find down in the description box. And to get started on my palette, I'm going to have some permanent black, raw umber, burnt umber, cad yellow, cad orange, and titanium white. So with my number 12 flat brush here, I'm just going to start with the background of just permanent black. So I'll just go ahead and load this up really well on both sides and just fill everything in around the image. Okay, so I have my palette knife now, and I'm going to take some Cad Orange and I'm going to mix it up just a little bit with a touch of this burnt umber, and this is just to dull it down just a little bit. So I'm going to actually put a lot more orange than the burnt umber because I don't want to dull it too much, but just a little bit to make this pre-mix this color so that I can use this from here to mix it with other stuff. So I find just making a pile of color is better than trying to mix everything from beginning. So now I have my number 4 natural round bristle brush, and this is a dry brush, and these are very good brushes if you want to get that out of focus bokeh look. So with that, I'm just going to fill in for now and block in. I'm not going to worry too much about the technique just yet, but I just want to get color laid in for now. So I'll just go ahead and use this round brush to fill in these distant bokeh string lights there. So now I'm going to take some permanent black and just a little bit of paint on the brush, and again a dry brush, and I just want to fuzz this around the outside of these bokeh string lights in the background, and these fuzzy lines and this blended look is what gives that out of focus look rather than hard lines against things. So very important with these brushes to have them dry, and they work so well with this. So now I'm going to get some Cad Yellow, some white, and some of that dull orange color there, and just tapping off again for a brighter value. And I'm just going to go in the middle and fade that out into that other orange that I put down, and this brightens it up, and in this way it also enhances the out of focus bokeh look to it. So now with the same brush, I'm going to take some of that dull orange color now and just a touch of permanent black. This is going to be the beginning of a faded glow that comes away from the lights in the background. And you can see I'm tapping off some of that paint as I load it there. And with the round natural bristle brush and doing bokeh out of focus stuff, it's really important again that the brush is dry and that there's only a little bit of paint at a time, because with those two working together with this brush, it's what gives the effect and really gives everything that blurry look that is supposed to be happening in the background here. So as you can see, I'm just doing this darker orange value here, and this is the start of building up a glow as it fades off into the dark. So as you can see, this fuzzy line here with this brush, and that's exactly what I'm looking for, so that the other colors will blend in very nice with that, with those fuzzy lines meeting with the other fuzzy lines, and that really makes a nice gradient and gives a nice bokeh out of focus look to that. So now I'm going to pick up some orange here, and to that I want to pick up a good scoop of this Cad Yellow into it just to change the value a bit, and just a touch of that dull orangey color just to dull it a bit. And see, I'm tapping off the paint, and just with a little bit on my natural round bristle brush, I'm going to go in here now, and I want to fuzz that up into that darker orange value and bring it down and block in this area. And as you can see, it's a lighter value of orange, which means that the glow is getting brighter, of course, as I come into the light bulbs in the center. So as you can see how transparent the first coat of this acrylic paint is, I'm not worried about covering up these other bokeh lights that I'd laid out, so you can totally see that just fine. Okay, so now I'm going to take some yellow here with my palette knife, and I want to dull this yellow just a little bit like I did with the orange, so I'm going to take a little bit of burnt umber to that. And again, it's mostly yellow, just a little bit of burnt umber to dull it just a little bit, and now some titanium white to brighten that up. And as you can see, when I mix this up, it's a little bit more dull than I want it to be, so I'm going to add just a little bit more yellow to that, maybe about like so. And that just warms it back up, but again, it's dulled down just a little bit like I wanted it to. And again, this is another pre-mixed color that I can work from. So now back to my natural round bristle brush again. I'm taking this yellow that I made and just a little bit of paint on the brush, and I'm just going to block in the center light bulbs with this. And of course on the outside, when I get to that orange value, I'll just fade it out, as this natural round bristle brush, when it's dry, does very well. So now I'm going to take some permanent black now, and again, see I'm tapping a lot of that paint off, and just a little bit. I want to go on the very outskirts here of the outside of this glow here from the lights. And again, this just enhances more of that out of focus look when I blend into the edges a little bit and show that the light is fading off, and it has this sort of fade into it, into the dark there from the glow, and it also enhances the glow this way, as well as the effect of the bokeh. Okay, so I have my extra small number 2 natural round bristle brush, and I'm going to take now some some titanium white, and I'm going to go into some of this orangey yellow color that has a little bit of that dull value into it. Okay, and just right up here, this is a little bit brighter, and I'm going to fade back into that black. So see, you can fade these colors back and forth. If you get something that's too much of something else or whatever, just fade the other color back into it. And the more times you do this, of course, you're building up more layers. And just like with acrylics, with anything, whether it's still life or something out of focus, the more layers you lay down and the more effects that you put on top of one another, it just becomes more clear what's going on, and it really enhances whatever it is you're doing, whether it's more depth and dimension or more saturation in the color. And in this case, it's more of a bokeh effect that's getting stronger each time. Okay, so now I'm going into permanent black, just a teeny bit, and into some of that dull orangey color. And right here, just going to go on the outside between this orange and yellow right here. There's going to be a little darker gap that shows the separations between the different light bulbs on the string here. So again, with this natural round bristle brush, you can see, and it not having any water at all in it, it creates those fuzzy lines. And if you don't get the lines right the first time, well, just like anything else with acrylics, you want to build up more layers, and it gets better each time. So just keep applying layers and keep applying this effect, and trust me, it just will become what it should, because that's the way acrylics works. It kind of does it for you. It's like magic. So now let's get some yellow and some orange, and now I'm going to get some white. And I did clean my brush off, and I did dry it, of course. And now let's get some of that dull orangey color into it just a little bit. So just sort of mixing something like that, and then I'm going to go back in and see just a little bit of paint, a little bit of pressure. I'm just sort of fuzzing this over, and this really enhances this bokeh out of focus every time I put a new layer down, that much more. So down under there a little bit. And so what I'm doing now is I'm just creating just some darker values that are going to surround the yellow, and and really bring out this bright shine to those lights. Okay, so now I'm going to get some more Cad Yellow and a little bit of that dull yellow into it, just a little bit, and now some titanium white. I really want to brighten this up a bit, and maybe just a little bit more yellow to that, so that warms it up quite a bit, adds more saturation. Okay, and I want to go back in here, and as you can see, when I go back in, I'm rediscovering and re-enhancing, and I'm bringing back anything that I've covered up before. And of course, like I said, with more layers, it just gets better and better. So I'm going to pick up now just a little bit of burnt umber without cleaning, and as you can see, just a little bit of paint, and let's scrub that in just a little bit. Okay, without cleaning, now I'm taking some more Cad Yellow and more Cad Orange. And this time I won't put any dullers into it. And I'll just go around the outside of this yellow here. This enhances the glow again. So I have that darker orange around it. I have some of that burnt umber around it, as you can see. And then with this lighter orange here, and then I can just go back in and sort of fuzz that in and play this around. So as the term goes, or as the motto goes, here and there but not everywhere, meaning every time I put a value down or another layer, I don't want to take over the entire area that I'm working in. I want to let some of those other colors and layers and effects show through, because again, variety is the key to having everything pop like it should and tell the story to the eye of what's going on and all of its realism and dimension and all those kinds of things. So it's very important to have all of these things playing together as I build these up. And again, each layer means more enhancement and stronger effects each time. So now I'm going to get a little white and into that duller orange color that I made. And again, up here, I just kind of want to show some light sort of sneaking out right up here. Okay, now I'm going to pick up some more Cad Orange, and I'm going to tap it off into some of that dull orange color that I made. See, just a little bit of paint at a time, and with my natural round bristle brush again, going to go on the very outsides and fuzz this into some of the color and also out into the black that I made. And again, another layer, another effect, and this just strengthens and enhances the bokeh out of focus effect, making it more dramatic. See, isn't that nice? What an effect. I love these natural round bristle brushes. They really do wonders for out of focus look, and also clouds if you want to do that. So now I've got some yellow and just a touch of that dull yellow. I want to go back in again with this yellow and work that back, and of course building up another layer of this value and fading it out into those orange values. And see, each time it just gets more dramatic on that blurry effect. So now just titanium white, and I really want to brighten up the center of where the light's shining the brightest. So where that is, I'll put the paint first, and I'll just sort of fade that just very lightly like this. I'll tell you, these natural round bristle brushes really get it done. They are like my favorite brush for blending and doing clouds and doing out of focus. If you don't have natural round bristle brushes, you are missing out. You've got to get some. You can totally get them at any art supply store online. If anybody wants any suggestions on that, let me know in the comment section. So as you can see, just really adds shine to this now, and now we're really starting to see an out of focus glow happening. Okay, so now I'm going to take some raw umber and I'm going to tap a lot of that off. And right down here, I just really want to enhance this shine and add some more of this dark effect on the outside. So now I have my number 6 angle brush here, and this helps me get really precise lines and get into small areas. So I'm going to load that up with permanent black. And for now, I'm just going to start blocking in the socket here, and I'll leave the lines where I want to come in later with different values. And with these lines here, I'm not worried about it. In fact, I'm going to be covering that up and putting them in later. But for now, I want to leave this outside lines there on both sides so that I don't lose, of course, my socket into this dark background with the same value that I'm blocking in with. Okay, now I've got my number 2 flat brush here. I'm going to go ahead and start adding details with this. And I'll go ahead and load this up now with permanent black. And as I said, these lines that are right up here on the socket, I'm not worried about it. I'm just going to end up covering this all up. But of course, on the outside, as you can see, I'm going to leave that gap. And I'll add some other highlight stuff to that. Okay, so as you can see, I'm using the edge of my number 2 flat brush here, and there's this very dark value that's going to really bring out the dimension and the realism of this bulb here. So just for now, blocking in and just getting color generally where it goes. And with this dark value, I'll just run just the edge of this bulb like so. Okay, so with a clean number 2 flat, I'm going to go in now with some Cad Orange and just sort of run it into some of that yellow and sort of dull orangey mixture. So it's not too vibrant, but just kind of a plain dull orange like so. And I'll just go ahead and block in generally where this goes. Okay, now I'm just going to pick up a little bit of yellow into the mix there, not cleaning my brush. And I'll just sort of mix that up, load it up a little bit more yellow to warm that even further. And I'll go ahead and block in with this value now. So this just changes the value up a little bit. As you can see, it's a little bit warmer of an orange there. And again, just getting basic values and color where it goes for now. Okay, now I want to pick up a little bit more orange now, and let's get some white to brighten that up. And again, I have not cleaned my brush. I'm just changing values on my brush as I go. And let's see, just a little bit more white there. And so I want to start laying in some details, but this isn't, of course, the final details. Even details have blocking stages, I believe. And so with this is going to be the start of some of those filament details in the bulb here. But again, I'm not going to leave these details at this. I'm going to build up more layers, and of course I'm going to put color around this. And I'll have to put more layers to bring up anything that gets covered up. And it's just, you know, acrylics, you just work them back and forth and build up the layers. And again, each time it just gets better and better. So for now, as I block in, I'm just going to lay things generally in their location. And you can pretty much do anything you want to do with this. This is sort of kind of a freestyle within the traceable. And I like to give myself some room to kind of do my own thing with details at times. Just more fun that way, I believe. And it's just, I don't know, I enjoy seeing what I can do. And of course, if you don't like something, you can take white or a dark value and just cover up anything that shouldn't be there. And really just go for it, because as you know, in the acrylic world, there is no such thing as a mistake, not even a happy one, as Bob Ross put it in the oil world, because oils is like a whole nother thing. You have to live with what you do because it's just the way it is. But the other part is you don't have to build up layer after layer, because oils does that right away. So pros and cons. So I'm just going to take that color, as you can see, with a little bit of paint left on the brush, and I'm just going to run that out and sort of just block in the rest of it like so. So now I'm going to take some permanent black and just a touch of raw umber mixed together with it. So because it's in the bulb where the light's going to be shining, I don't want it super black, so a little bit of raw umber will keep that from looking exactly like the background. And I know these little things seem mundane, but again, the more mundane things you do that seem like no big deal, they end up becoming a very big deal and making all the difference on how real something is going to look. So just going to take this dark value, as you can see, with my number 2 flat, and I'm just going to dance that around and put that in its general locations. So as you can see, this first layer within our bulb here looks pretty hideous, and rightly so. Moving right along. So now I'm going to take some Cad Orange without cleaning, and let's go ahead and work this value in, and I'll place this generally where it goes. Okay, now without cleaning again, taking more Cad Orange and just a touch of burnt umber to that, and that darkens it down a bit. And again, just playing these different values in, lining them up where they go, and again, like the motto goes, here and there but not everywhere, letting all these other values play along, and of course building up more layers, and this guy is gonna really take off here in just a moment. Okay, so now without cleaning again, I'm gonna take some raw umber this time with some of that Cad Orange, and let's get that mixed up. And again, this is my number 2 flat brush that I'm using, and just going to go ahead and dance this in and place that here and there. Okay, so with a clean brush now, I have on my palette some Phthalo Blue that I've added. And I'm going to take just a little bit of raw umber and permanent black into that. So that really makes a dull blue color, or also known as Payne's Gray, and so mostly titanium white into that. Okay, a little bit of raw umber into that. And I'm looking for this very dull, very light blue Payne's Gray color. So something about like so. This is going to be the highlights where I left the edge of the socket open here against the dark background. And I'll just go ahead and fill this in, and this will give the indication of a highlight, and it'll also show more of a 3D dimensional look to it. Okay, now I'm going to take some Cad Orange now and just a teeny touch of I do that every time with the browns. Raw umber, not burnt umber. And just a little titanium white to bring that up. Okay, not much. And so I have this dull orangey color here. So with that, my number 2 flat, I'm just going to strike some of these highlights here on the socket, and it also shows some of the socket details. And without cleaning, I want to take a little bit of titanium white to that same orange mixture, and I want to show a little bit more of some details and where the light's a little bit stronger, and that brings out a lot more details on this socket this way. Okay, with a clean brush now, I'm going to take some titanium white and I'm going to add to that Payne's Gray color that I made, and just use this to do the same method on the right side of the upper part of the socket there, and just show some of the lines and again some more dimension and details this way. Okay, with that same value, just going to strike the edge down like so and fade it off into that dark value in the center, and that gives it that nice dimension to it. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to that Payne's Gray color. I'm going to take some blue and yellow, of course, for some green. I want a green tint to this, but I don't want it too green, so I'm going to take some black and dull that back a bit. And of course, I do want a little bit of color in there, so anytime you get too much of one color or the other, it's all good. Just take more of a different color or whatever, and essentially you'll end up having a bigger pile of the color that you ultimately wanted. So all good there. So now I want to take some white and lighten up this green tinted color like so. And I want to go in here and just really enhance this reflective color, and it really just brings a shine and glow that much more to it. So now I'm going to take some titanium white without cleaning my brush, so it still has that sort of bluish greenish hue to it. And I want to brighten it up where I want it the brightest first. See, I'm not going to cover up all that color, but just brightening up, and it really shows glow and shine that much more to it. And with this same value, I'll just go ahead and bring it down onto the bulb where there's going to be some direct highlights. So without cleaning now, I'm going to take some titanium white and more phthalo blue into the mix there on that highlight color. And with this value, I just want to go in and put it on that direct highlight on the bulb here and not cover up, of course, all that light color, but just a little bit of a square I want to add this value onto. And you can see when I do this, it really makes a big difference on how much shine and how vibrant that it brings out those highlights on that bulb there. So with that same value, there's another little sliver there. And just these little things really make the difference, as you can see there. So now I'm going to take some dark value, that's raw umber, and some black, and down here I'm just going to scrub some of that around here and just really deepen this dimension and of course contrast some of that color against that dark. So now I'm going to take a little bit of this Cad Orange again and some of that dull orange together and some titanium white, maybe a little bit more than last time. And I want to go back into the details now. See, maybe just a little bit more orange to warm that up and a little bit more of this dull orange. So however much you want to make this, you can make it as vibrant or as saturated as you want. Add more or less color, whatever looks right to you. So I'm just kind of filling this out, maybe something like that. And I want to go back into these details now and again bring those out, and of course this brings another layer and it brings in more clarity and really takes these details to another level and mixes in with those other values really well like this. Okay, so without cleaning, taking some more titanium white, and I want to make these show up just a little bit more, and it also adds some glow effect to it. Okay, so with a clean brush now, I'm going to take some of these yellows here, that dull yellow and some of this regular Cad Yellow with some titanium white. And with this vibrant orange, or sorry, not orange, yellow, I'm going to go back into this orange value of the details here. And so just very, very here and there, but not everywhere. Just going to scratch it in on the edges and in just some places to show some of the light glow that's playing off there. And it really enhances, more shine and glow this way. Okay, picking up permanent black now. So with this, I want to go back in and go around some of this stuff here. So just like this, it really brings out the details that much more and adds more depth and shadow and dimension. And it really contrasts and pops out that glow and that shine that much more as I put this in. Okay, with a clean brush now, to get the black off, I'm going to go back into that Cad Orange, Cad Yellow, some titanium white, a little burnt umber into that, just to dull it back a bit. And wiping a lot of color off the brush, and just a little bit, I want to go back in, and let's add this value in right here. Okay, so now I'm going to take now some more Cad Orange and Yellow together. Very little paint on the brush. This is my number 2 flat brush again, and I just want to glaze it into this dark area. And again, this really shows that there's light coming through this light bulb, and this is the glow from the light that's fading off into that dark area. So now I have my number 4 nylon round brush, and with this I'm going to take some yellow and orange together and pull it as I turn it, and let's get some white into that. And I just want to mix that up and see as I turn it, as I pull it, it brings it to a nice point. And so with the tip, I want to take now and make these very detailed, direct highlights here that are happening. These I'm actually going to call them reflections of the other lights from the string in the background that are reflecting off of this kind of from the distance. So as you can see, just going to tap the end of the point of it, and you can do this however much you want. If you don't like something, just take a dark value, cover it up, it's all good, or cover up some of a dot that might be too big if you don't like the way it is. Okay, and so I'm just going to sort of play this in and dot these in sort of a pattern that sort of kind of goes with the curve of the bulb there. And by doing this, it adds another element of details, which is one of my favorite paintings to do, where you have bokeh and details together in the same piece, because it's another contrasting element, and it really just draws the eye in that much more. As you can see there, those details really show some shine and really good reflections and contrast between the bokeh background and this foreground detailed bulb super well this way. So now I'm going to take some Cad Yellow now and mix it with some of that dull yellow that I made, and actually get some titanium white to bring that up a little bit. And I want to make it more saturated, so a little bit more for this Cad Yellow to it. And with my number 2 flat, I'm going to take and strike this value into the elements where it is the brightest and where all of the light is emitting from. Okay, so again, more permanent black and just a little bit of paint on the brush. I just want to glaze in again and really build up and enhance this contrast that much more. Okay, so I have on my palette here some crimson red, and I'm going to take a little bit of that and dull it further with some burnt umber to the see I did it again. Raw umber. It's I get those browns mixed up all the time. All good. So raw umber, some Cad Orange, and some titanium white. This is going to be a reflective color now that I want to put in where you see the gap that I left open around the dark background and the bulb there. So I'll just block this color in, and again, this is my number 2 flat brush. Okay, without cleaning, let's enhance that reflective glow and shine a little bit more. So I want to take some more titanium white into that and just a touch of some Cad Orange, not much. If you're not careful with Cad Orange, it will eat up everything, so definitely be careful with that. And I want to strike this and enhance this reflective shine just a little bit more. Okay, so I've got my script liner brush now and lots of water on it, and I'm going into Cad Orange and Yellow with titanium white, and I'm pulling it as I turn it, and it brings it into a nice sharp point, just like that. And with the tip, I'm just going to go in and scratch in some more filament details, and again, this adds more contrast with more details against the bokeh background and makes the filament and everything that much more interesting. Okay, so I'm going into the yellows now, that dull and that regular yellow and titanium white. And again with my script liner, lots of water, and pulling it through as I turn it to that sharp point. And let's strike just some of the edges and vary here and there, but not everywhere, and show some of that shine and glow happening. Okay, back to my number 2 flat brush. I'm going to take some titanium white now and go into the Cad Yellow. And let's see, a little bit more white. A little bit more of this Cad Yellow. I'm not going to go into the dull yellow this time. I want this very vibrant and very bright. And I'm just going to hit the very center of this filament piece right here. And this is going to be, of course, the part that's illuminating the most light and has the most shine to it. Okay, with more titanium white, I'm going to go into the very center of the bokeh lights in the background here, and this is going to really make them glow and shine that much more. Okay, so now I'm going to take some Cad Yellow and just a little bit of this dull yellow to it, and a little bit of Cad Orange as well, and a little bit more yellow, in fact, to make it more saturated. So I'm just going to use just a teeny bit of paint on the brush. This is my number 2 flat brush again, and I'm just going to glaze around some of this stuff that I've done. And by glazing, I mean when you have a very thin coat of paint, you can see through it, and it really takes this this glow and this shine and the dimension of the bulb to the next level by doing just these little things like this, and it really makes all the difference. Okay, so just titanium white, and I want to go just in the center of these filaments here where it's the brightest, and see I'm not covering up all that yellow and orange, and this really turns it up on how bright this bulb is and all the light that's emitting out of it. Okay, with a little bit of white left on the brush, I'm going to go up to these background ones in the distance, and I just want to pop out some of the shine that's coming from those, and a little bit up here as well. Okay, so just getting the yellows together, the Cad and the dull yellow, and just wiping off a lot of that paint, and again going around some of that bright shine as you saw there. And now with just titanium white, I'm going to go and just strike the very, very edge of the bulb like so. And this really turns it up on the shine and glow again that much more. Okay, so let's take some yellow now, some dull yellow, and some burnt umber to that. And I want this very, very dull, sort of light, off brown color. Now titanium white to that. So this is sort of a shadow reflection color or highlight. And it'll turn it up that much more again with some more shine. So see, I put some permanent black into there just to dull it down a little bit further. And let's see, let's warm it just a touch more with some yellow. So maybe something like that, sort of like a dull warm brown that's very light. And right here I'm just going to put a few shapes in, and this just again shows some of this what do you call it, shadow reflections. Okay, so with my number 4 nylon round brush now. I'm going to take some titanium white, a little bit of Cad Orange, and some of that dull orange that I made, and pull it as I turn it through to a point. A little bit of water on this one, and just right here, just a couple little more reflections, some things that are sort of popping off the glass here. Okay, so with my script liner brush, lots of water, and titanium white, I'm going to sign this piece right here, and I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet, and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any video lessons I'll be putting out regularly. And give this one a shot. This is super simple, just a few brush techniques, and I'm telling you, those natural round bristle brushes really get it done when you're going for a blurry background like this. And if you have any questions or comments, please drop those down below. And until next time, happy painting, everyone.